The sky above the market was heavy with dark clouds, and the air smelled of mud, smoke, and cheap coins. The great wooden stage stood in the center of the square, where creatures were bought and sold like tools. Men shouted, women bargained, and children pointed with wide eyes at the cages lined against the walls. But today, the crowd gathered for something different. On the stage, chained and lowered in shame, stood a female dragon. Her scales, once shining green, looked dull and cracked. Her wings were folded tight against her body, and her golden eyes were dim, filled with defeat. A rough wooden sign hung above her head, with cruel words burned into it. Infertile, worthless. Price, 1 coin. The people laughed. Some threw stones at her feet. Others jeered. A dragon who cannot lay eggs is no dragon at all. A few whispered in fear, but most saw her as a joke, a spectacle worth mocking. The auctioneer, a man with a crooked voice and greedy eyes, banged his stick on the stage. Here she is, he shouted, a beast with no future, no fire for the sky, no children to carry her name. A dragon without purpose, who will take her away for 1 coin. The crowd roared with laughter. Many turned their backs. Even at such a low price, no one stepped forward. To them, the dragon was not worth the trouble. She was a burden, a reminder that even mighty creatures could fall into ruin. The dragon lowered her head. Her heart, once proud, was now broken. She remembered the skies she once flew, the warmth of fire in her chest, the songs of her kind, all gone, stripped away. Now she was nothing more than an empty shell waiting to be discarded. But among the crowd stood a man, a farmer dressed in rough clothes stained with earth, with strong hands from years of work. In his arms he carried 2 small babies, wrapped in cloth, their tiny faces sleeping peacefully against his chest. He did not laugh like the others. He did not throw stones or turn away. His eyes locked on the dragon, and something inside him stirred. The farmer stepped forward. The crowd noticed him and burst into louder laughter. Look, a farmer with children in his arms. One man shouted, "What use does he have for a dragon?" The auctioneer sneered, "You, farmer, do you want her? She eats more than your farm grows. She will burn your house and frighten your neighbors." But the farmer did not move back. His voice was calm, steady. "I will take her." Silence spread for a moment, broken only by the cries of the twins. Then laughter exploded again. "He wants the worthless beast. What a fool. He throws his coin away." The farmer reached into his pocket and pulled out a single coin. It shone dull in the cloudy light. Without hesitation, he dropped it into the auctioneer's hand. The auctioneer smirked. "She's yours. Don't come back crying when she destroys your farm." The chains clattered as the dragon was pushed down from the stage. She stumbled, too weak to resist, her wings dragging in the mud. The crowd spat at her, pointing and mocking. But the farmer stepped closer, holding his babies in one arm and reaching out his other hand. The dragon lifted her head slowly. Her golden eyes met his. For the first time in many years, she did not see fear or hatred in a human's face. She saw pity. She saw kindness. The farmer spoke softly. "Come with me. You are not worthless." The dragon blinked. His words pierced the wall of despair around her heart. She had been called worthless so many times that she began to believe it. But this man, this simple farmer with children in his arms, spoke, as if she still had value. The crowd shouted after him as he led her away. "Fool, She will eat you alive. You waste your food on a beast." But he ignored them. Step by step, the farmer walked toward the road that led out of the market, the dragon following behind with her chains dragging through the dirt. The twins stirred in his arms, their little hands reaching out toward the dragon. One of them let out a soft laugh, innocent and pure. The dragon tilted her head, watching them closely. No fear, no judgment, just trust. Something warm flickered inside her chest, faint but real. As the farmer and dragon left the market behind, the sky rumbled with thunder. The sign above the stage swung in the wind, infertile, worthless. Price, 1 coin. But those words no longer held the same power. For the first time in a long while, the dragon felt she was walking toward something new, not as a weapon, not as a failure, but as something she had almost forgotten, as family. The road home was quiet, except for the steady sound of chains dragging through the dirt. The farmer walked with slow but steady steps, his twins resting in his arms. Behind him, the dragon followed, each step heavy, her wings drooping low. She did not understand why this man had taken her. She was used to mockery, to being thrown aside, but never kindness. The farm lay at the edge of the valley, a small piece of land with a wooden house, a barn, and fields ready for planting. Chickens scattered as the farmer opened the gate, while a dog barked and ran to his side, sniffing curiously at the dragon before retreating with a whimper. The farmer stopped and looked at her. His voice was calm. "This is your home now. Number 1 will hurt you here." The dragon lowered her head, confused. Her golden eyes shifted toward the twins. They looked back at her, giggling softly, their tiny fingers reaching out as if they wanted to touch her scales. She turned away, ashamed. She was no mother. She was nothing. The farmer seemed to read her thoughts. "Worth is not measured by what the world expects of you," he said gently. "Worth is what you choose to give." He led her to the barn, opening the wide doors. Inside, it was warm and dry, with fresh hay stacked neatly. The farmer unhooked the chains from her neck and let them fall to the ground. For the first time in years, the dragon felt the weight lift from her shoulders. She stretched her wings slowly, painfully, but still it was freedom. The farmer left a bucket of water and meat by her side. "Eat, rest. No one will mock you here." He turned and walked back toward the house, carrying the twins inside. The dragon stood still. The food smelled good, but she did not eat. Her pride, her spirit, had been broken for so long that she no longer knew if she deserved kindness. She curled in the hay and closed her eyes. Sleep came, heavy and deep. That night, thunder shook the valley. The twins cried in their cradle, and the farmer rushed to soothe them. Outside, the dragon stirred at the sound of wolves howling near the farm. She rose to her feet, her instincts burning awake. Through the barn doors, she saw shapes. Moving in the fields, wolves creeping closer, their eyes glowing in the dark. She could stay silent. She could let them take the farmer's animals. Why should she care? But as she looked at the house, she saw the light of the window, heard the crying of the children. Something inside her shifted. She stepped out of the barn. Her scales caught the lightning flashes. Her wings spread, still weak, but wide enough to block the path. She let out a deep, rumbling growl. The wolves froze, ears flat, tails low. They had never faced a dragon before. With a burst of fire from her throat, she lit the ground in front of them, sending flames into the wet grass. The wolves yelped and scattered back into the forest. The farmer ran out, holding a lantern. He stopped when he saw the fire burning in the field and the dragon standing tall, smoke curling from her jaws. His eyes widened not with fear, but with gratitude. "You protected us," he said softly. The dragon lowered her head, uncertain. But the twins pressed their faces against the window, their small hands clapping in joy. They did not cry any more. They laughed, pointing at her with bright eyes. The warmth inside her chest grew stronger. She had done something. She had mattered. The farmer walked closer. "You are not a burden," he said. "You are more than they ever saw." The dragon blinked, her golden eyes softening. She returned to the barn, curling again in the hay. But now her sleep was different. Lighter, warmer. Days passed. Slowly, she began to help without being asked. When storms came, she shielded the barn with her wings so the animals stayed dry. When wild dogs prowled the fences, she drove them away. At night, she lay near the house, keeping watch over the twins as they slept. The farmer noticed something else. Around her neck, the old necklace she wore, rusty and forgotten, began to glow faintly. The marks on it, strange and ancient, shimmered when she was near the children. One evening, as he rocked the twins to sleep, the farmer whispered, "That necklace. It is not just a chain. It carries something." The dragon tilted her head, as if she understood. She touched it gently with her claw, and the glow brightened for a moment before fading again. The farmer studied her carefully. "Perhaps your worth is greater than any egg you could lay." The dragon lay beside the barn that night, staring at the stars. The farmer's words echoed in her heart. She had been sold for nothing, laughed at for being infertile. Yet here, on this small farm, with 2 children who smiled at her and a man who did not fear her, she felt something stronger than shame. She felt needed. But far beyond the valley, in the dark hills, other eyes watched. Creatures moved in the shadows, their whispers carried by the wind. They had felt the faint glow of the necklace. They had waited for such a sign, and soon they would come. The days turned into weeks, and the farmer's life began to change in ways he had never expected. The dragon, once broken and silent, started to show signs of life again. She moved with more strength, her scales regaining a faint shine under the sunlight. Her wings stretched wider each morning, shaking off years of weakness. The twins adored her. They called her Green Mother in their baby voices, laughing as they played near her tail. She never harmed them. Instead, she lowered her head so they could climb onto her back, holding still as they patted her scales with tiny hands. The sound of their laughter filled the farm like music. The farmer watched in silence. One evening, as his children curled against the dragon's side, fast asleep, safe and warm, the sight made his heart ache. He had once thought he was alone in the world, raising 2 babies without a wife. Now, he realized he was not alone at all. He had family, an unusual one, but stronger than he had ever hoped. But with every passing day, the farmer grew more curious about the necklace. The strange chain around the dragon's neck glimmered faintly whenever she was near the twins. The markings on it were not scratches. They were letters carved deep into the metal long ago. One night, when the children were asleep, the farmer lit a lantern and sat close to the dragon. She watched him quietly as he leaned forward to study the necklace. "These are words," he whispered, brushing dirt from the markings. "Old words. I do not understand them, but they are human." The dragon shifted, her golden eyes glowing softly in the dark. She lowered her head, letting him look closer, as if she too wanted the secret revealed. Suddenly, the necklace pulsed with light. The glow spread across the barn walls, filling the room with golden fire. The farmer gasped as visions flooded his mind. He saw humans standing side by side with dragons, holding banners high. He saw battles against shadow creatures with red eyes. An endless hunger. He saw the bond of trust shining like a shield, stronger than any weapon. And then he saw words appear before his eyes. Worth is not in birth, but in bond. Together, human and dragon will awaken the forgotten power. The farmer stumbled back, his breath heavy. The vision faded, leaving the barn in silence again. He stared at the dragon, stunned. "You are not worthless," he whispered. "You were never worthless." The dragon blinked, lowering her head as if she had heard those words for the first time. A low rumble of warmth left her chest, almost like a purr. The next morning, danger came again. This time, it was not wolves. A group of men from the nearby village arrived at the farm, armed with axes and torches. "We heard you keep a dragon here," their leader said, his face twisted with anger. "She is dangerous. She has no worth. She will bring ruin to us all." The farmer stepped forward, his twins clutching his legs. "She has harmed no one. She protects my children. She belongs here." The men scoffed. "A dragon cannot belong in a human home. Hand her over, or we will take her." The dragon rose behind him, her wings spreading wide. The men stepped back in fear, but their leader held his ground. "Look at her, do you not see? She is a beast. She cannot give you eggs, cannot bring wealth. Why protect her?" The farmer's voice shook but grew stronger with each word. "Because she gives something greater. She gives safety. She gives love. She gives family. She is not useless. She is ours." The dragon let out a deep roar that shook the earth, but she did not attack. She stood tall, her golden eyes blazing with pride. For the first time in years, she felt her spirit return. She was not standing in chains anymore. She was standing with those who believed in her. The villagers hesitated. Some lowered their weapons. Others muttered, unsure. The leader spat on the ground and turned away. "This is foolishness. You will regret it when she burns your home to ash." They left, their threats lingering in the air. That night, the farmer sat with the dragon again. He stroked the necklace, which glowed softly as the twins lay asleep against her side. "The world will not understand," he whispered, "but I do. And I will protect you, just as you protect us." The dragon closed her eyes, breathing deeply. For the first time, she felt something greater than shame. She felt belonging. She felt worth. But in the hills far beyond the farm, the shadows stirred again. The same red eyes that had watched before grew brighter. The darkness whispered hungrily, drawn by the light of the necklace. The bond between dragon and humans had awakened, and the darkness would not let it stand. The night sky over the valley had grown strange. The moon hid behind heavy clouds, and the wind carried whispers that did not belong to the earth. The farmer could feel it when he stepped outside an uneasiness, a weight in the air that pressed against his chest. The dragon sensed it too. She paced along the fence line, her wings half spread, her golden eyes scanning the dark hills. The twins, who once laughed freely, now clung to their father's arms. Restless even in their sleep, something was coming. By morning, the valley was alive with noise. Villagers poured down the dirt path toward the farmer's house. They carried weapons, axes, pitchforks, even old swords passed down from forgotten wars. Their faces were tight with anger and fear. At the front walked the council guards, armored and stern. The farmer stepped out to meet them, standing tall though his hands trembled. The dragon moved behind him, her massive frame casting a shadow over his small farmhouse. "You were warned," the captain of the guards said coldly. "The dragon is a curse. The people demand she be destroyed." The crowd shouted in agreement. "She is infertile. She has no use. She will bring the darkness on us all." The farmer shook his head. "She is not the danger. She is the shield." The captain raised his sword. "Step aside, farmer. We will end this before it spreads." The twins cried from the doorway, clutching each other. The dragon's chest rumbled with a deep growl, but she did not strike. Instead, her eyes glowed faintly, and the necklace around her neck pulsed with golden light. The farmer stepped closer, standing between the guards and the dragon. His voice broke but carried strength. "You call her worthless because she cannot bear young. But she protects, she loves, she belongs. Isn't that worth more than your fear?" The guards hesitated. The crowd murmured, torn between fear and doubt. They had seen the dragon save the farm from wolves. They had heard whispers that she played gently with the twins. Was she truly a curse or something different? But before anyone could speak, the ground shook. A chilling howl echoed from the hills, followed by dozens of glowing red eyes appearing in the darkness. Shapes crawled forward, tall and twisted, made of smoke and claws. The air turned icy cold, and the crowd screamed in terror. The shadows had come. The captain shouted, "Hold the line." But fear cracked his voice. The villagers stumbled back, dropping their torches and weapons as the creatures swarmed closer. The dragon roared, her voice shaking the earth. She spread her wings wide, fire bursting from her jaws and striking the ground in front of the shadows. The flames cut through the mist, forcing the creatures back, but more kept coming, endless and hungry. The necklace blazed, golden light shooting out in sharp pulses. The creatures shrieked as the light touched them, their smoky forms twisting in pain, but still they pushed forward. The farmer grabbed his axe and stood by the dragon's side. "You will not take this home," he shouted. His twins cried inside the house, but he did not turn away. The crowd panicked, but some villagers, seeing his courage, lifted their weapons and joined him. "If the dragon fights for us, we fight with her," one man shouted. Together they clashed. With the shadow creatures, steel met smoke, torches burned against claws. The dragon swept her tail, crushing a wave of them, then breathed fire that lit up the night. But the shadows were many, and their numbers did not end. The captain, still frozen, stared at the battle, his fear twisted into rage. "This is her fault. She brought them here." The farmer shouted back, his voice raw. "No. They came because they fear her bond with us. She is the only reason we still stand." As if to answer his words, the dragon bent her head toward the twins inside the house. The necklace glowed brighter, as if drawing power from the love she had found in this family. Light spread across her scales, turning her once dull body into a blazing figure of gold and fire. The shadows screamed, staggering back as her light burned against them. The villagers gasped, their fear breaking into awe. For the first time, they saw her not as a curse, but as a protector. The farmer's voice rang out above the chaos. "Do you still call her worthless? Look with your own eyes. This is not death, this is hope." The villagers rallied. Torches lit the field, weapons struck harder, and the dragon's roar carried them forward. Together, humans and dragon pushed the shadows back, driving them into the hills. At last, silence fell. The night was broken, the ground scorched, but the creatures were gone. The people stood in shock, breathing hard, staring at the dragon glowing in the moonlight. She had saved them. The captain dropped his sword, his face pale. The crowd's anger had turned to silence, their fear to respect. They whispered to each other, voices trembling. She is not a curse. She is our shield. The farmer placed his hand on the dragon's neck. She lowered her head, her golden eyes soft but strong. For the first time, she felt not shame, but pride. But deep in the hills, far beyond the farm, the shadows still stirred. That night's battle was only the beginning. The valley lay in silence after the battle. Smoke curled from the ground, and the smell of burnt earth hung heavy in the air. Villagers huddled together, their faces pale but their eyes wide with awe. For the first time, they did not look at the dragon with fear. They looked at her with gratitude. The farmer stood with his axe still in hand, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion. His twins clung to him, their little faces pressed into his shirt. The dragon lowered her great head beside him, her golden eyes meeting his. In that moment, no words were needed. They had fought as one. But the night was not over. The hills beyond. The farm began to glow faint red. The air grew colder, heavier, as a shadow larger than all the others rose from the dark. A figure shaped like a beast, but made only of smoke and flame, stepped into the valley. Its eyes burned brighter than fire, and its roar shook the earth. The villagers screamed. Some dropped to their knees in despair. We cannot fight that. It is too strong. The farmer tightened his grip on the axe, though his arms trembled. The dragon stood tall, her wings spreading wide, the necklace blazing brighter than ever before. She knew this creature was different. It was not just a shadow. It was the master of shadows. The captain of the guards stumbled forward, his face white. This is why dragons are cursed. This beast is drawn to her. But the farmer shouted back, his voice breaking through the panic. No, it is not drawn to her weakness. It is drawn to her strength. It fears her bond with us. And tonight, that bond will be its end. The dragon roared, fire bursting from her throat, but the shadow beast swallowed the flames as if they were nothing. Its claws struck the earth, shaking the farm until the wooden fences cracked. The twins cried out, and the dragon's heart surged. She stepped in front of the farmhouse, her body shielding them. The necklace flared, flooding the valley with golden light. Then something extraordinary happened. The villagers, who had once mocked her, lifted their hands. They remembered the boy's words from before. Worth is not in birth, but in bond. One by one, they raised their torches, their voices shouting. As one, with the dragon, with the farmer, the light spread from them, small sparks at first, then brighter. It was not magic from the dragon. Alone it was the unity of human hearts, believing in her. The necklace drew upon it, glowing so brightly that it blinded the night. The farmer placed his hand on the dragon's neck. The twins, their tiny fingers glowing faintly with the same light, pressed their hands against her scales. And with that touch, the dragon felt whole. Not as a mother of eggs, not as a cursed, infertile beast, but as a mother of a family she had chosen and who had chosen her. Power surged through her veins. Her dull scales blazed with gold, her wings shimmered like fire, and her roar split the sky like thunder. She was no longer the worthless dragon sold for a coin. She was the guardian of the valley. With one mighty beat of her wings, she launched into the sky, light trailing behind her like a comet. The shadow beast roared in rage, clawing at her. But she dove forward with unstoppable force. Her fire, now golden white, poured from her jaws, striking the beast's chest. The light pierced its smoky body, tearing it apart. The villagers cried out in wonder as the dragon circled again, striking blow after blow, each roar pushing the darkness back. The beast staggered, its fiery eyes flickering. With one final strike, the dragon unleashed the full power of the necklace. A wave of golden fire burst from her body, washing over the valley. The shadow beast screamed, its form breaking into ash and fading into the night. And then, silence. The dragon landed heavily on the ground, her wings folding. The necklace dimmed, its glow soft now, but steady. The villagers stood frozen before erupting into cheers. They shouted her name not as a curse, but as a blessing. The farmer dropped to his knees beside her, placing his hand on her scales. His voice was gentle. "You have saved us all. You are not worthless. You never were." The dragon lowered her head, pressing her nose against the twins. They giggled, unafraid, their laughter echoing through the valley like sunlight after storm. The captain of the guards stepped forward, his sword lowered, his eyes filled with shame. "We were blind," he said quietly. "Forgive us. Without you, we would have fallen." The dragon rumbled softly, not in anger, but in understanding. She did not need their apology. She had already found her worth. That night, as the villagers rebuilt their fences and tended their fires, the dragon curled beside the farmhouse, her wings sheltering the children as they slept. The farmer sat nearby, watching the stars. He knew the battle was not the end. The shadows would return one day, stronger and hungrier. But when they did, humanity would not face them alone. The boy who had once bought a dragon for a single coin had given her a family, and the dragon who had been mocked as infertile had become the hope of them all. She had awakened her true power not in giving birth, but in giving love, and that love would be enough to change the world. Asterisk.